6 classic F1 street circuit problems. Street circuits are F1's Marmite. You either love them or hate them. I'm not a massive fan of them for racing, but do very much enjoy watching F1 cars thrash around these circuits in qualifying. No matter where you go, Azerbaijan, Canada, Monaco, Singapore, Australia, there's 6 problems that always seem to haunt street racing. Bumps and drains. Considering that most roads are designed to be good value for money and durable, maybe not where I live, they aren't exactly the flattest things in the world. Most regular cars can tank a few small bumps. However, that's not the case for F1 cars. They do not like bumps at all. Bumps, drains and grids plague nearly all the street circuits in Formula 1. In Monaco, the bump on the left-hand side between Casino Square and Mirabeau is so severe that drivers have to move very aggressively to the right to avoid it. Baku's debut in 2016 got off to a very bumpy start. Come on, Matt, you can do better than that. In the first FP1 session alone, 90% of the rear tyres used had been cut by the bolts securing the curbs to the ground. Later, Bottas was forced to miss FP3 when he damaged his Williams on a loose drain cover, and when George Russell did the same 3 years later, they had to cancel FP1 entirely. It's not just on the track either, there can be problems lying underneath it too. In 2015, former McLaren technical director Tim Goss revealed that the teams have to bring electrical shielding and software changes for the cars in Singapore because of an electrical interference. When the cars drove around the Marina Bay Street circuit near Anderson Bridge, something underground created a problem that if the car was changing gear at the exact moment, it could cause them to brake. Rough track surface. On most circuits, you'd expect smooth, clean tarmac to help the tyres grip to the track. Not on street circuits though, as during the year regular cars deposit oil and dirt onto the surface. As the cars already suffer from lower grip due to less grippy asphalt being used, the excess slip means drivers struggle to get their tyres to bite as much as they'd like. This results in longer braking zones, slower entries into corners, and it being more difficult to get power down on the exits. If Mother Nature comes into play, then the white road markings can play havoc. Usually rain doesn't make these markings slippery for regular cars, but given how Pirelli tyres are tailored to different conditions, even the wet weather tyres struggle going across the markings, as any drivers who've driven around a wet and bumpy Albert Park in Australia will tell you. Facilities. F1 street circuits lack one important thing: room. Whether that's on track or off track, bringing the travelling circus to an already built up area means teams, safety equipment and all the people involved have to fit in the spaces already available. A lack of runoff area in places like Monaco, Singapore and Azerbaijan's castle section means marshals have to red flag the session just so that the recovery vehicles can fit through. Having less available room has also impacted how the circuits are laid out, with the pit lanes being a big cause for concern. Ahead of the Australian Grand Prix return in 2022, Albert Park's pit lane is being widened, and earlier this year, 2016 world champion Nico Rosberg criticised the location of the Baku pit lane next to the 220 mph straight. Meanwhile, in Monaco, the cramped pit garages proved to be costly for Daniel Ricciardo. His devastating pit stop in 2016, which ultimately cost him the win, was partly caused by the lack of space. With Red Bull's pit wall upstairs and the garage downstairs, there were delays in communicating between the two and left mechanics scrambling around trying to find the tyres. Whilst you're soaking that all in, I'd like to tell you about our sponsor for this video, Atlas VPN. Atlas VPN allows you to encrypt your data and hide your virtual location. There are plenty of people already using it with over 5 million users worldwide, and it's available to be used on all devices. So what happens when you use a VPN? Well, your device is given a new IP and DNS address. All of the traffic is encrypted and routed towards the VPN server. When the traffic arrives at the server, the VPN server decrypts the information and allows the traffic to access the desired destination, and therefore allowing you to access the entire library of shows available to you on platforms such as Netflix that may have been country restricted before. There is a world of undiscovered content waiting at your fingertips. Seriously, there are some fantastic motorsport movies to be found. Atlas VPN is running a special Cyber Month offer where you can get a 3-year deal with an extra 3 months free for a huge discount of just $1.39 per month with a 30-day money-back guarantee. The deal won't last for long though, so make sure to check it out by clicking the link in the description below. Right, let's get back to it. Public opposition. If you want to bring F1 to your country, you better make sure you have the locals on side. F1's decision to move the Australian Grand Prix from Adelaide to Melbourne in 1996 encountered public opposition with accusations that the government were trying to turn a public park into a private playground, and the money used each year would be better spent on a permanent circuit elsewhere. Outrage over the proposed Miami Grand Prix layout forced organisers to abandon plans to make it a downtown street circuit. Concerns about traffic disruption caused the plans to be changed so the race would take place solely around the Hard Rock Stadium and its car parks, instead of on public roads. Enough time to build the track. Racing at a street circuit isn't as simple as turning up a few days before and getting some barriers set up. Nope, these events take local officials months to plan and a tight turnaround to execute to perfection. Infrastructure at Albert Park is put up 2 months before the Australian Grand Prix and is removed within 6 weeks of the race. Having spent the previous 9 months planning, work on the Marina Bay circuit in Singapore is started 4 months before, but the roads are only completely closed at 3 AM on the Friday of the race weekend. Meanwhile, F1's newest street circuit in Jeddah started construction in April and is still unfinished days before the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix is due to get underway. 37,000 tonnes of asphalt, 600,000 tonnes of cement, and 30,000 square metres of brick have been used to construct the 6.1-kilometre circuit. Its track is scheduled to be completed before the race weekend, even if a few facilities aren't ready in time. However, the short turnaround could create an issue with the track surface itself. The asphalt used needs time to dry and cure, and although it can tolerate traffic within 72 hours of it being laid, F1 could be left with a fragile track. Bad for overtaking. The biggest sin an F1 track could commit is a lack of opportunities to pass other cars, and this year's Monaco Grand Prix was the worst example of it. In 78 laps, there was only one overtake when Mick Schumacher passed his Haas teammate Nikita Mazepin on the opening lap. Thankfully, Albert Park have realised the issues their circuit has with overtaking, and while we wait for its return, turns 9 and 10 are being removed completely and replaced with a fast-flowing run onto Lakeside Drive. Turns 1, 6 and 15, as they were previously, are all being widened, and turn 13 will become slower and tighter. There you have it, a look into some classic F1 street circuit problems. What are your thoughts on them? Would you like to see more or less street circuits? Let us know in the comment section below.